What's up guys, and welcome back to some more Sun and Moon coverage with some more Kanto Mega Eeveelution speculation. Yes, and this is the penultimate part of Kanto. Today we're looking at Eeveelutions and fossil Pokemon, and then next episode we're looking at legendaries and whoever else is left. So let's just kick this straight off, and we're starting off today with Mega Vaporeon. So Vaporeon, obviously the water type evolution, so being a pure water type. What type are we going to see in Mega Vaporeon? Well, if the Mega Eeveelutions ever are to happen, which I doubt they will, but this is all about speculation, so if they do happen, I would expect the typings not to change, or I would hope the typings wouldn't change, because obviously that's what makes the evolution so special. There's an evolution for every single type. So it wouldn't make much sense, for example, for Vaporeon to become a water dragon type, and for Flareon to become a fire ground type, and for Jolteon to become a electric steel type. It wouldn't make sense, because obviously there are other types that, the ones I picked aren't, the best. Obviously there's no dragon type or steel type or ground type. But you guys get the idea that it wouldn't make sense to cross over typings. Of course, there's a possibility, I suppose, but I wouldn't like to think about that. So I'm thinking about it as just keeping pure water. So what stat changes would have in Mega Vaporeon? Well, I sort of related Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon in terms of stat changes, so we'll see as we go on. But Vaporeon is going to have a boost in special attack, or possible. I would expect Vaporeon to have a boost in special attack and special defense, just because it has pretty good both of those stats as well. Vaporeon generally you can use it as a Pokemon with rest. Give it a berry, and then you can use Scold, for example. This is what I remember from the last time I used it. But can take decent moves as well as dishing them out as well. So just build on that, give it a small speed boost, and then small boosts in its other defenses as well, or other defense and other attack. But generally, high speed, high special attack, and high special defense boost would make Vaporeon much more powerful. Ability-wise, it could have Water Absorb, which is one of its basic abilities. Again, it would sort of link with the water typing, I guess. Or it could gain sort of a more related one. It could gain Torrent. This is something when I was making these ideas, speculating these ideas up, I was thinking, okay, I could give it, each Torrent, and then Flareon can get Blaze, and then obviously Jolteon hasn't got its own equivalent, but I was thinking about that. But Torrent's a possibility, I suppose, but generally it's not used for anything other than the starters, so I wouldn't say it too much, but it's a possibility. And then the other idea I had was competitive, sort of building on the special attack boost there. If ever one of its stats were to get lowered, it would get a nice boost in its special attack to be able to deal damage back again. But apart from that, I really couldn't think too much for Vaporeon. It's got, Water Absorb's not the best ability, of course, but it would be decent. Especially with its design, that would link in very well, because you can see this design for Mega Vaporeon, its sort of body is watery anyway, so if water were to hit it, it would just simply become the part of the body. So that would make a lot of sense in terms of thematics, but in terms of what ability it could have, I'm a bit stumped there. So if you guys have any other ideas, for Vaporeon or the Eeveelutions having Megas in general, let me know down below. If we then move on to Mega Jolteon, the next Pokemon we have, obviously Jolteon was the electric type evolution, so I'm going to assume Mega Jolteon would be a pure electric type as well. Stat changes, as I said, I'm linking them all, so I would say Jolteon's going to get a special attack boost and a speed boost. So we had one that's special attack and special defense, we have one that's special attack and speed, and you'll see what Flareon is in a minute. But obviously Jolteon is a really reasonably fast Pokemon anyway, and obviously a special attacker, so boosting those up to make it even more powerful, nice and speedy and zippy. But having a low defense stat, I think they're pretty low anyway, so it wouldn't get, its defenses might not get boosted at all, especially its physical defense. Don't give it much of a boost, or no boost at all. Put it all in special attack and speed, make it very frail, sort of to balance it out. And then ability-wise, obviously it could have Water Absorb, which is one of its normal abilities, because why not? It would just parallel Water Absorb, or it could gain obviously a different type of ability. Competitive are listed once again, so very similar to Vaporeon. If it were to get stats lowered, then obviously it would just get even more powerful. Or another one is here is a special Moxie, so if Jolteon were to take a Pokemon out, they get a boost in their special attack. I feel like that would work pretty well for Jolteon, because it can zip around, take Pokemon out, and then it takes one out, and obviously it gets special attack boost, and it's even harder to take down because of how much raw power it has behind it. But that was my idea for Jolteon. It's, again, sort of the Eeveelutions are really hard to have mega ideas for, I believe, in my opinion at least, because I can't see it happening too much. But of course, it's a possibility, I suppose. When you know what Game Freak's like. Game Freak gave freaking Beedrill a Mega Evolution, so never say never, guys. Never say never. I'm reading Justin's book currently. So then let's move on to the third Eeveelution here, which is obviously Mega Flareon, the fire type evolution. So again, what typing would Mega Flareon be? Well, I'm just going to go for pure fire here. And then stat change wise, well, I'm here this time, I'm going for an attack boost, because Flareon is a physical attacker rather than special attacker, as well as a special defense boost. So you can see all three of these evolutions I've been talking about have different stat changes. Vaporeon was special attack and special defense, Jolteon was special attack and speed, and then Flareon just completely turns it all around with attack and special defense, because obviously it's a physical attacker. Special defense rather than physical defense because of all the fur, all the fur and the tail and the mane on Flareon's body. I feel that would get better protection than, better protection against moves that are special. I mean, obviously it's a weird thing to get your head around, rather than, taking a punch to the face. So those are stat changes for Mega Flareon. Ability wise, obviously it could have Flash Fire, because Water Absorb, Volt Absorb, Flash Fire completes the trio. So it's a possibility, but of course you can get another one. I've listed Blaze here, very similar to Torrent, what I was talking about for Vaporeon, although I don't see it happening too much. But then I have here listed Moxie. We were just talking about Special Moxie for Jolteon. I think a physical Moxie or your normal Moxie for Flareon or Mega Flareon would work pretty well. It's not the fastest Pokemon, but of course if you give it a decent defense and special defense, not like an amazing one, but decent, take a Pokemon out, it gets a nice attack boost, and it just goes on like that. Not the fastest Pokemon, but you can dish damage over and over and over, especially if you really give it a nice big attack boost, when it becomes a Mega in the first place. But I really can't, there's not much to say about the evolutions here, because I just can't see them happening, Obviously it's possible, as I mentioned, but, the sort of the idea pool, the speculation pool, if you will, for Mega Eeveelutions is very low anyway, so I really couldn't see it happening, and, that's all I can really give you. If you guys have any ideas yourselves though for Mega Vaporeon, Jolteon and Flareon, let me know down below, because I'll be very interested to hear the ideas you have, because, they would be pretty interesting. So let's move on to the fossil Pokemon now. Obviously Aerodactyl got a Mega Evolution, but we still have two fossil Pokemon, or two fossil lines from the Kanto region we could speculate about. So the first up one we have here is Mega Omastar. Omastar being a rock water type. What typing would a Mega Omastar be? Well, I can't see the typing changing at all. Mega Aerodactyl's typing didn't change upon Mega, or Aerodactyl didn't change from it to Mega, it stayed rock flying, so I couldn't see it happening. And what would you change it to? Rock water, okay, you have to keep the rock because of the shell, and water just sort of it makes sense. So I couldn't see a change at all. Stat change wise though, for Mega Omastar, this is where it gets a bit more interesting. I would say a nice big, sort of physical defense boost, because obviously the shell, it would make a lot of sense, but also a decent special attack boost, so you're nice and physically defensive, but also can give out special damage pretty well. In terms of special defense, I feel like that wouldn't get much of a boost at all, and obviously physical attack, yeah, maybe a bit of a boost, but not a huge boost. Speed, maybe slightly, maybe not, it depends how big they made the shell, because obviously if the shell grows huge to protect Omastar, then it's going to slow it down just a bit. Ability wise, one of its normal abilities is Weak Armor, which means when it's hit by any physical attack, its defense drops, but its speed increases. So if you were to give it a slightly lower speed, but a really high defense, this Weak Armor would sort of work with that as well, Okay, you start off with really high defense and really low speed, maybe you use Calm Mind for a turn or two. I don't know if almost like it's Calm Mind, but it's just an idea. Maybe you use Calm Mind for a turn or two, while they attack you. Okay, they lower your, attack you physically, they lower your defense, increase your speed. Once it's happened twice, yes, okay, you have a bit lower defense, but your speed is now nice and high, so you can start, not swooping through the team, but start, being more proactive, being nice and speedy, and actually doing damage to your opponents. So that's a possibility there. If, the other possibility is if the shell grows nice and huge, it could get Solid Rock, which obviously would protect it from, I think, critical hits, or no, I think Solid Rock is, Solid Rock is sort of the same as Filter, basically, so it would take less damage from super effective moves. So that would all depend on how, sort of, how much the shell changed in terms of, obviously it doesn't look much like a rock now, but it could do if it were to take over most of the body and sort of protect the whole area, similar to a Cloyster, I guess, and look rocky-like. Solid Rock would work very well there. The final ability though is, I was sort of just putting it out there, Hustle. I don't know how good that would be, having Hustle ability. Hustle obviously increases, I think it's attack, or if it increases, attacking stats, but lower accuracy, so it wouldn't be the best ability to have. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't give Hustle to a Mega Evolution, because why? They don't generally like accuracy reducing, or increasing, no, not increasing, but evasiveness increasing or accuracy reducing moves and abilities in general, so I feel like Hustle would be a bit of a weird one to give to a Mega Omastar, but it was just something I wanted to throw out there basically. So if we then move on to the final Pokemon for today, which is going to be Kabutops. Obviously going along with Omastar there. So a Mega Kabutops. Kabutops is Rockwater, so a Mega Kabutops, similarly, I can't see really changing type from Rockwater again. If anything, maybe become Rock Steel or Water Steel because of its bladed arms. That would be the only thing I could think of. But Rock Steel is 4 times weak to fighting and ground, and yeah, that wouldn't end well. And Water Steel, yeah, it's decent at typing, but it would take away the rockness of the fossils, so I don't know if that would be more sort of common, I guess, I don't know. Stat change wise though, in sort of comparison to Omastar being a nice, bulky defensive Pokemon, however, Mega Kabutops I feel like would get really speedy and also have a really high attack stat. So maybe even getting a defense drop at some point. I mean, it already has pretty low defense anyway, so I feel like getting a load of speed, a load of physical attack, maybe a defense drop, that would make Mega Kabutops just out of control. Maybe make it faster than a load of Pokemon, but it could also have an ability to, support that, being speed boost. So maybe it doesn't have to have a huge speed stat, but also speed boost then to help and support it. So you'd have to maybe use Protect and give Protect to Mega Kabutops so you can get a free speed boost off, and then you start slashing your way through the opponent with your nice high attack stat, something along those lines, and I feel like that would be really interesting to see. Of course, it could get a different ability for speed boost, one being Moxie, mentioning Moxie once more. So obviously if Kabutops were to take another Pokemon out, this would be more in the case of it had a really high speed stat and maybe it's like a decent attack stat. So if it takes it out, okay, the speed is there already, so you're already faster than most Pokemon, but the attack, if you were to take one out, the Moxie then kicks in and your attack gets pretty strong. Or it could get adaptability, and this would power up the power of both Rock and Water type moves, or of course Steel if it were to get the Steel type, which I doubt, but that would still make it really powerful. In terms of, I don't know what physical attacks Kabutops gets really off the top of my head. In terms of Rock type moves or Water type moves, I know it gets Aqua Jet, so that would be really good, because obviously it's a priority move anyway, but either of those sort of abilities will work pretty well, I think, for Mega Kabutops. Speed boost, Moxie, or adaptability, like, damn, that's going to be pretty speedy. Or damaging in general. And obviously, if you were to give it a really high attack stat, you give it speed boost. If you were to give it a really high speed stat, you'd give it Moxie or adaptability to balance it out, basically. But those are my thoughts for Mega Kabutops. So if you enjoyed the video, guys, be sure to hit the like button. If you have any ideas though on Mega Eeveelutions, or Mega Fossils of course, please let me know down below, because these are sort of ones that aren't talked about as much from Mega Evolution wise, because they're sort of harder to come up with ideas for. So if you guys do have any ideas, please let me know, because I'll certainly be interested to hear them. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.